Hi, I'm Hamish Black, and welcome to Writing on Games. First off, let's get this out of the way. Of course No Man's Sky is not the game it was sold as. There was no way it could have been. That doesn't mean it's bad, nor does it mean the game is wonderful. My views on this game after spending a whole bunch of hours playing it are incredibly complicated. On the one hand, it's exactly what I wanted out of the experience. And on the other hand, it's almost fatally flawed in a number of very key ways. Ultimately though, No Man's Sky provides a compellingly meditative experience at its best and a woefully limited one at its worst. To get the technical stuff out of the way though, let's begin by saying that this kind of PC port in 2016 is kind of unacceptable. I'm not trying to play armchair developer here, games are incredibly difficult to create, of course. That said, whilst a further delay to the release date would have angered a lot of people, surely it would have been preferable to the situation we find ourselves in just now. Significant frame dips and freezes on the less extreme side of things, to frequent hard crashes and reports of corrupted save data, these things are more than mere annoyances. They make people approach the game with a kind of trepidation. Hell, every time I open up the game, I'm constantly worried that action alone will cost me tens of hours of progress. But you knew the PC version was borked already, right? Right. So now we can get on to talking about the deeper flaws in the game's design. Now these aren't perhaps the flaws you might imagine. I'm not talking about promised features being missing or anything. These flaws are somewhat more philosophical in nature, I guess, but still intrinsically linked to the experience that the player ends up having. This is a game in which you transport yourself from solar system to solar system, massive, almost indescribable distances, and yet when you see yourself looking out at the array of behemoth planets sitting in front of you, this might as well be a menu. A prolonged, arbitrary menu, but a menu nonetheless. You see, much of this game's appeal to me was the idea that it eschewed the extreme mechanical minutiae of more simulator-focused experiences. A type of game that I can certainly appreciate for sure, but when those trailers showed the player character walking about on the surface of a planet 1 minute, then jettisoning out of the atmosphere in the blink of an eye, it was very evocative of the childlike escapism Murray talked about when describing the impetus for creating the game. It changed the conversation from the trite, see that mountain in the distance, you can go there, to you can go there instantly. This is a very key distinction, but one that ultimately does not end up working in practice on a number of levels. For one, as I mentioned previously, it makes the whole process as engaging as navigating a menu. In fact, it almost literally acts as an extension of the galactic map menu used to navigate between solar systems. Instead of hovering over a path and clicking the system on the map, however, you're aiming your ship at a planet, hitting the A and D buttons to activate the specific drive, and just waiting as the planet might as well be loading into existence. Say what you will about more sim-oriented experiences, but when you finally get that ship off the ground in those scenarios, you feel like you have worked for it, like you've achieved something. Here, due to the fact that all the work has been taken out of getting your ship off the ground, the mechanic essentially becomes one of fast travel. Another, perhaps even more key flaw is that, well, do you remember in my last video when I said that what we were going to get out of this game would be something akin to Minecraft in space? Well, it isn't, and it isn't for a very key reason. Nothing you create or destroy in this universe is really, truly yours. Think about it, what is the beauty of Minecraft? It's the idea that you are placed in this ostensibly fantasy-inspired world. A genre known for its lore and extravagant plot points and characters, and yet you're asked to create your own stories. And create your own stories you can. Every mechanical decision you make in that game creates a narrative, from digging around in the ground and leaving a lasting mark on the world, to building massive structures that sometimes take people weeks to construct. These all have narrative arcs to them that will differ from person to person in terms of why and how they are doing it. Real tangible yarns that could be spun for someone else who has played the game and have them encounter things that they weren't even aware existed in the game. Now compare this to No Man's Sky. I think it's safe to say that most of us had a very similar idea of faring this massive galaxy, coming across a wholly unique planet, leaving our mark on it in some unknowable way, and being able to tell wonderful tales of our travels to those around us. Now, set aside the idea that every building, every shelter, every monolith you come across in this game is exactly the same. This player-driven narrative simply doesn't happen when everything you do in the game, every moment-to-moment decision, is intrinsically linked to progression systems. This is a game where everything you build is linked to central goals that everyone is trying to fill. Increasing inventory slots, upgrading your ship's boosters, making your multi-tool more powerful, for example. The player-driven narrative in No Man's Sky will always follow the same template. I warped to a system, I went to a planet, got some materials, sold some stuff, built a warp cell, and then went to the next star system. This is a game in which I am now spending more time in the identical space stations buying and selling resources to skip to other systems than I am actually exploring any planets within these systems. Seriously, I don't even feel bad about warping through systems without exploring them. The game incentivizes it. I know the function of every building I could possibly come across by now. I have enough materials to get closer to the center, which is pushed as being the goal of the game. My inventory slots are already limited enough without burdening myself with more materials. I might as well use these ones I have, then only explore planets when I absolutely need to. It's an incredibly strange way of doing things, and for all the talk of No Man's Sky not living up to expectations, there's no way anyone, even with tempered expectations, could have expected the gameplay systems and player-driven narrative to have been this sedentary. Which is why I find it so fascinating that ultimately, well, I'm still enjoying this experience a whole lot. It's frustrating as hell, sure, but that's mainly due to the fact that the PC port is so terrible. That said, I seriously think there's a reason so many games journalists have been defending this game. Even in my just over a year of doing this whole dumb games writing thing, I found myself playing games in an entirely different way than I used to. This week alone, I've been playing a number of these huge, mechanically intense games and stressing out about the fact that I might not be able to get things done in a time frame that I previously thought I would be able to. Even when I'm playing one game, I'm thinking about the next game and the game after that, whilst also thinking about what critical perspective I should take on every one of those games, as well as getting videos written and put out there, all on top of my regular work, as well as pitching other articles to various outlets and preparing for the inevitable rejection and heartache that comes from that particular endeavour, and well, games are work now. That's not a bad thing, they're still fun and I love doing this, but I just have to be more focused in how I structure my playtime, and that in itself can be tiring sometimes. Sometimes I feel like I need a game that gives me a predictable, reliable, aesthetically pleasing loop, and No Man's Sky provides that in spades. It's a form of meditation for me, and for me, that holds real value. I wouldn't say it's as effective as conveying that Zen vibe as the recently released Abzu, but hey, sometimes I'm not in the mood for mechanically hyper-complicated experiences. I know this might not be for everyone, and I get why people are disappointed in the experience, but sometimes, even just for an hour or two, I just need a game that plays like this. So I hope you enjoyed my review of No Man's Sky. This is a game that, like I say, is deeply, deeply flawed in a whole bunch of ways. But that said, there's still a lot I enjoy here, and I feel like I've gotten my £40 worth. What I will say is that if you feel like you're going to be disappointed by this game for whatever reason, chances are you probably will be once you actually play it. If you're okay with the fact that the game is more limited than its presentation suggests, however, then you'll probably find something to enjoy here, at least in the meditative sense. So what did you think of No Man's Sky? Let me know in the comments below. Also, I'm writing articles now. I'll leave a link in the description to an article I wrote for Vice Gaming as to why Mafia 2's prosaic depiction of the gangster lifestyle ended up becoming its biggest strength to me. I'm working on getting more written work out there, so if you want to keep up with that, follow me on Twitter at HamboBlack. Also, I just want to thank every single one of my patrons who absolutely make this show possible. Your names are on the screen now. If you want your name on here, or early access to the episodes, or access to the scripts and soundtracks for the episodes, then please consider pledging. Every pledge helps more than you can possibly know, so thank you so much for even considering it. Now, with all of that said, I'm Hamish Black, and this has been Writing on Games. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.